Nakia Nichelle here. And, at these times in life, we're around the holidays, things get a little stressful, you get down on yourself, and you need some motivation. So I am very happy today to be talking to you, Van Moody. I got an email like, hey, do you want to interview this guy? I wasn't too familiar with your work,
Sure.
but when we're talking about motivation, I feel like that is always something people can use year round.
Absolutely.
Don't forget to put the mic up just a little.
Yes, absolutely.
Yes. So, I decided, what, let's definitely sit down with this man and find out more about you and kind of introduce you to people that don't know about you. So
Certainly.
I first want to ask, where are you from?
Born and raised in Atlanta, Georgia.
Atlanta, Georgia. Okay.
Yes.
And while in Atlanta, Georgia, how did you start your career, or what were you doing there besides motivational speaking?
My career really started in business. And
Okay.
so my family, particularly on my father's side, for many, many years were very progressive entrepreneurs, particularly at a time where people of color didn't have many opportunities, going back into the 40s and 50s. And so I left Atlanta for college. And then when I came back for graduate school, my first foray was in the realm of business. I'm a church kid, and so I obviously grew up in church. And so that was always a part of my life. But as an entrepreneur, I started my own company and did very well. And from there went on into leadership coaching, which is kind of a parallel track to motivation, because my passion is to help others win and succeed, and to really challenge people to tackle the real issues that are preventing them from living their best life. And so from running my own company successfully, and then I ended up doing leadership coaching on my own and working for John Maxwell and training leaders around the world. And so that's really how I kind of got started.
Okay.
And so been in Birmingham now for 11 years, leading a great church there, writing some great books, and still helping people around the world. So that's my passion.
Okay. And you got really heavy into speaking, around the world. And
Yes.
that helped with, you said John was his name?
John Maxwell.
John Maxwell helped you there. I feel like, have you been on Oprah at all, or have done it? I feel like you should if you haven't yet.
I haven't yet.
Okay.
A number of people have said that to me.
Okay.
In fact, some people who loved my last book, The People Factor, that was a bestseller. And when this new book came out, the iFactor, that's what they kept saying. When is Oprah going to have you on Super Soul Sunday or something like that?
Right.
And I said, I'm not quite sure. Well, we'll just see. But yeah, no, I haven't. But many people have said that to me.
Okay. Now, I know you did Dr.Oz, though.
Yes,
Who's close. I mean, he and Oprah.
Yeah, it's been a joy this season to be a part of the core team for Dr.Oz, and been able to be on the show and add value to the lives of a number of people there through Dr.Oz. Love him, love what he's doing, and love, just partnering with him to make a difference in the lives of many people. So that was a great joy.
Okay. So let's talk about your first book.
Yes.
What was it? What was the motivation behind that?
Sure.
And also, too, what was it about?
Certainly. So my last book was called The People Factor, and it was a bestseller, and it really dealt with helping people understand how to do relationships with others well. The central premise was really that you have some kind of relationship with everyone, meaning that life revolves around relationships. And what I noticed throughout history and in current times today is that you can be the most gifted and talented person, but you can still not do relationships well. Mm-hmm. And your inability to do relationships well will be an Achilles heel in your life and can hinder you unnecessarily. And so the People Factor really helped to raise what I call people's relational IQ. And I'm not just talking about how to be happy and single or how to be married successfully. I'm talking about all manner of relationships.
Oh, okay.
Personal, professional, platonic. We have to learn how to do relationships better. And the People Factor really is chock full of the principles and the steps to do that well. And so I was really excited about that. But at the same time, while I was doing a lot of talks and receiving a lot of compliments from people around the world about how that book changed their life, I also recognized a parallel truth that was just as great, if not greater, than the principles within the people factor. And that's where the iFactor, my new book, comes from. And that parallel truth is you can master relationships with others, but if you cannot manage yourself, that's going to be a big issue. And for many people, the greatest relational challenge is not the external relationships, it's their internal relationship, the one that they have or don't have healthy, don't have in a healthy manner with themselves. And that's what the iFactor is all about. And so the iFactor grew out of the people factor, but in many ways, this is probably the most necessary book. And I'm excited about it. I'm excited about the world reading it. And so far, the stories of life change and impact are phenomenal.
Now, I was looking at something and you were talking about there's reasons as to why people are not successful, like they hold themselves back out of fear. And I really delve deep in that to, utilize that in my life. And I'm thinking, have I been fearful? Because I feel like everybody sees me and they're like, oh, wow, you're at this really great point. And I'm thinking, but I'm still not where I want to be. You know what I mean? And I know that I don't need to be here in Chicago. I know I need to be in LA. And some people are like, well, you just need to go. And I'm like, well, I don't want to go there and I don't have a job. I'm living on Skid Row. Like, I want to have a plan. I don't want to do it just going. And then some people are saying that, well, that's fear holding me back. So in those instances, how do you identify if fear is holding you back?
Well, fear is very much a factor for many people.
Okay.
Often I challenge people to answer this question: what would you do if you were not afraid? Or what would you do if fear was not a big issue in your life? And often the answer that people give me, or even if they do this exercise on their own, I did this in an audience setting on the Dr.Oz show.
Right.
And what I share with people based on their responses is that that's the life that you were called to live. Because often when we remove fear from the equation of our lives, really our dream and our purpose really comes into full view. So fear is definitely a factor for some individuals, but oftentimes it's not fear. It's a bigger, deeper issue, and that is that a lot of individuals are not healthy internally. One of the most important principles as it relates to going to LA or anywhere and pursuing your dream is to understand that you are the common denominator in every aspect of your life. So it is not just where you're going to go, it's who will you be when you get there. And for many people, we always start externally. We always focus on if I can get to the right city, if I can meet the right people, if I can connect with the right individual, if I can get married, or if I can get the right job and make the right amount of money. And those things are nice, but those things are secondary and tertiary to the real issue. And the real issue is not externally who you are and what you have, but internally what's going on. And are you healthy on the inside? Because ultimately, we don't reproduce, so we don't create what we say. We only reproduce and create who we are. And so many individuals self-sabotage. They have a world of possibilities in front of them, but they can't really step through that door. They can't really fully grasp it because they've never done the work to get healthy on the inside. And you know this. You can look at recent history. You can look at, a number of instances where there were great individuals that looked like they had it all together, but they still crashed and burned because they did not do the work to make sure that their iFactor was healthy and was where it needed to be so that they could take the next step that they want to take in life.
What are some of the things to get healthy? Internally, is it in this book?
Oh, absolutely. The iFactor is chock full of steps and resources to make sure that you can really be the kind of person from the inside out that you desire to be. And the iFactor in that book, and when I talk about this whole iFactor concept, it revolves around three critical ingredients: identity, significance, and perspective. Meaning that when you are grounded in the truth of who you are, when you understand your significance, and when you're able to look at life through the right set of glasses, which is perspective, then you're well on your way to having a healthy iFactor, because success on any level is an inside job. And if you can do the work to be healthy on the inside, which is what I walk people through in the book, then everything else becomes easier.
I'm really trying to figure out a lot of people use faith
Hmm.
as a way to kind of help motivate them or inspire them to be, and also to become healthier. Is that something that you utilize in this book as well?
Well, I'm a person of faith.
Okay.
And so I grew up in the church, and I'm a believer, and so I can't divorce that from who I am.
Mm-hmm.
But one of the things that I try to do is I don't try to make my reality everybody else's. I'm really intentional to give practical steps so that regardless of whether or not you're a person of faith or not, you can take the lessons that I give in the books that I write and apply them to your life. One of the greatest compliments someone gave me about the people factor is they said, I like the way that Van Moody writes because even an atheist could apply these principles. And I thought when I read that review, spot on. Because my desire is to add value to people regardless of race, color, socioeconomic background, regardless of if you're a person of faith or not. So does faith play a role in my life? Absolutely. But the iFactor is really about that individual being willing to get honest with themselves and to do the work so that they can be healthy from the inside out.
Okay. If someone, let's just say right now is a trying time for their pockets, and they do want to get healthy on the inside, any acronyms or anything that you could say immediately tonight, you need to start doing this?
Absolutely. Well, if they can, get the book.
Right. Of course.
Yeah, of course, get the
man.
book.
Like, yeah.
Because all of the steps are in there. But right now, one of the first things that I would encourage them to do is to forgive themselves and to forgive others. A lot of times we live in self-imposed prisons based on what we didn't do or bad decisions that we made. And a lot of times we just allow our past to eclipse our future. And we put ourselves in that prison. And so it starts with forgiveness. It starts with maybe you need to forgive yourself and forgive others so that you can be free. And that's what forgiveness is all about. It's really about opening your heart so that your heart can be clean and purified so that you don't look at your future through the lens of your past and what happened to you or what someone did to you. And then the next step is to establish their core, their foundation. So when I start talking about identity, I'm raising the question, who are you? Not what you do, not what happened to you, but who are you? And a lot of people have never separated it. People a lot of times associate their who with their do, and that's not who you are. That's what you do. Your who is not your do. Now your who infuses your do, but what you do is not who you are. So that's what I mean when I say establish your foundation and then live from that. It's very fascinating that a lot of people live lives that are not congruent with what they say they want. So people say, oh, I want to lose 30 pounds. But then when you do a day with them or if you spend a week with them, you see that their life is totally incongruent with what they say they want. And so once you establish your foundation and identify your core of who you are, live from that. And then the third thing is to make sure that you publicize it. Make sure that people that you do life with understand what's important to you, because those are really the barriers, if you will. I have two small kids and we love to go bowling. And when I take my kids bowling, they put up those rails, in the bowling alley so that the ball doesn't go in the gutter. When you know who you are and when you live from that, that becomes the rails that prevent your life from literally going in the gutter. And everybody has to acknowledge that. They may not agree with it, but they acknowledge it, and it keeps them honest, and it helps you stay on track towards your desired destination.
Are those some of those steps or things that they can do also ways that they can be successful or work towards being successful career-wise or
Absolutely.
relationship-wise?
Absolutely. And that's the beauty of the iFactor and everything that I write. The principles are not pigeonholed into one realm of or one aspect of a person's life. You can apply these principles to wherever you find yourself, and they will help you get to the next step.
Do you use them?
Oh, absolutely.
Because sometimes I feel like, especially now, the with the political climate, things have gotten so ugly.
Oh, yeah.
And trying to stay positive in that.
Absolutely.
And on track mentally. There are so many ugly things out there that deter you from that.
Oh, yeah.
Is it hard as a motivational speaker, there's just sometimes I wake up and I'm like, everybody is getting on my nerves to stay on track. I mean, you have to then like reset yourself, right?
Yeah, in some respects, but in others, it makes what I do even the more meaningful.
Oh, okay.
It gives me, when I look at the state of the world and this recent election and everything around it, it renews my purpose. It's interesting. I kind of live my life from a couple of great books and people that have impacted my life. And one man is a great novelist, Leo Tolstoy, and he once said that everybody thinks of change in the world, but no one thinks of changing themselves first. And that's the iFactor in a nutshell. I think that we need change. I think that our country is ready for real change.
I don't think we are.
Well, I think we're crying out for it, and sometimes things have to get really bad before they will get better. And I think this is why it's time for us to have this conversation about being healthy from the inside out.
Well,
about really integrity.
Part of change means truthing with oneself. Like
exactly.
But a lot of people don't want to tell the truth about
exactly
who or what or their thoughts or what. They don't want to be honest with themselves. And that stops a lot of moving forward to change, in my opinion.
Absolutely, which is why this is so necessary. It's interesting that you hear a lot of people talking about people who lack integrity.
Yeah.
You know, the root word for which we get the word integrity means complete and whole with oneself. And that's why this iFactor issue is a necessary issue, because you're right. So many people have sat on the sidelines and said, what is this? You know, you're saying one thing, but you're living something totally different. And so there is that apathy, but underneath that apathy is a hunger for real change, starting first with, everyone by themselves. And then if we do that ourselves, we can then affect greater change beyond ourselves. It won't matter if it doesn't happen in you. And that's why this iFactor conversation is so necessary. And I'm so excited that the book is out and so excited that people are now able to interact with it.
Yeah.
And that we're having this conversation because it's necessary.
It is necessary. I mean, hopefully it's the, ways and steps that we can not only work towards, like you said, better relationships, but then people, again, once you better yourselves, then you have better relationships, and then we can all get along, hopefully, and sing Kumbaya one day. But I don't think we're going to be doing that anytime soon. But in the meantime, there's iFactor, which, people can work on themselves, and they can get this off of Amazon.
They get it anywhere books are sold, and so it's available there. And then on our website, iFactorbook.com, there's a free kind of diagnostic that people can go through in about 5 to 7 minutes,
and let them know if their insides is bad.
Where they are on this iFactor journey, give them steps to move forward from there. And so I'm excited. Thousands upon thousands of people have already taken that free assessment, and so it's a great resource, and it's absolutely free.
It's absolutely free to take
Absolutely free to take that assessment.
The only thing that they would need to buy is the book, and I see here it's $16.99, which, come on, you can do that, right?
Yeah, it's
I mean,
nominal.
Is that really the price? Or
it is.
Okay.
But now, because the book just came out, it's on sale a ton of places, Amazon and Barnes & Noble. I saw recently that I think it was discounted up to maybe even 40% off.
Oh, wow.
So maybe the holidays push or what have you. But yeah, it's a great value.
I mean, they're getting the steal here. I'm just looking to see if there's anything else I want to ask you, because, I mean, we could go on about bad insides all day. You know what I mean? But I mean, I want to get down to the nitty gritty. You know what's so funny? I'm looking through these questions, and some of them are already answered just by talking and spewing out all of my crazy rhetoric here. But okay, so iFactor, how to build great relationships, or a great relationship with yourself is the key to happy and successful life. Are you happy, Van?
I am. Those 3 keys that I talk about that contribute to a happy and successful life are the keys that have really been the hallmarks of my life: identity, significance, and perspective. So it's a powerful work, but it's also a very personal work too.
Is happy relative?
Oh, absolutely. You define it though.
Yeah.
Happiness has nothing to do with what's going on around you. It's all about what's happening in you. And so you have to define what is your happy, and nobody else can do it but you.
Yeah. That's true. Well, I think that, this is one way that they can work on getting there,
Yep.
whatever defines their happiness.
Yep.
The iFactor. So, I'll try to make sure that they get it. I can't put a gun to their head. It's, but I will try to make sure the word gets out that the iFactor is in stores and ready for people to get healthy on the inside. And then
Thank you.
that way, when they're wearing makeup, they can feel...
They can really be beautiful.
You know what I mean? Be slaying,
Right.
as they would say.
All right.
But it was great talking to you.
Thank you for having
Congratulations on the new book.
me. Thank you.
And we'll look forward to more, too, and more chats.
Yeah, I love to.
Okay, cool.
That's
So
good.
anytime you're in Chicago, please stop by.
Will do.
All right.